Have you ever found yourself sitting in a quiet house, staring at the clock, wondering how the days got so long? Maybe your kids are busy, your friends have moved away, or life just feels smaller than it used to. Let me tell you something, I've been there too. That heavy feeling of loneliness? It's not just you. But here's the good news, it doesn't have to be this way. In fact, some of the most meaningful connections of your life could be just around the corner. Today, we're talking about 7 surprising ways to build those connections after 60, and I promise, they're easier than you think. Now, you might be thinking, easier said than done. And you're right, making friends or finding purpose later in life can feel daunting. But what if I told you that the secret isn't about being the loudest person in the room or forcing yourself into uncomfortable situations? It's about rediscovering the joy of small, intentional steps. The kind that fit into your life, your pace. So let's dive in, starting with a method so simple, you might have walked right past it without realizing its power. Surprising way number 1, your local community hub is a goldmine for connection. Remember those community bulletin boards at the library or rec center? The ones plastered with flyers for gardening clubs, book discussions, or coffee mornings? Those aren't just pieces of paper, they're invitations. I'll never forget my neighbor, Margaret. After her husband passed, she felt adrift, until she stumbled into a weekly watercolor class at our town's senior center. Fast forward 6 months, and she's not just painting, she's planning gallery nights with her new friends. The key here isn't about finding the perfect group. It's about showing up. Even if you're nervous. Even if you think, what if I don't fit in? Trust me, the person next to you is probably thinking the same thing. Start with something low pressure, a trivia night, a walking group, even a volunteer-led gardening project. The goal? To share time, not just space. And here's a little secret, these places want you there. Senior centers, libraries, churches, they're not just buildings. They're bridges to people who are craving connection too. So this week, try this, call your local community center and ask, what's happening this Thursday? Just one visit. No commitments. Because sometimes, all it takes is showing up to realize you're not alone. Surprising way number 2, your phone isn't just for grandkids' photos, it's a connection machine. Now I know what you're thinking, technology? At my age? I can barely send a text. But hear me out. My friend Carl, 76 years young, taught himself to use Facebook last year. At first, he just wanted to see his granddaughter's dance recitals. But then he found something unexpected, a group for vintage car enthusiasts. Turns out, there's a whole world of people out there who still argue about 1967 Mustangs versus Camaros. Now he's in weekly Zoom chats with guys from 3 different countries. The lesson here? Technology isn't about replacing face-to-face connections, it's about expanding them. Start small. Ask a grandchild to show you how to video call. Join a Facebook group about your hobby, yes, even knitting or birdwatching. Or try an online class. Masterclass has everything from cooking to writing memoirs. You don't have to be a tech wizard. Just curious. Surprising way number 3, volunteering isn't just giving back, it's filling your cup too. Let's talk about Jean, a viewer who wrote to me last month. After retiring from nursing, she felt useless, like her purpose had vanished with her job. Then she started helping at a community kitchen. Not only did she meet fellow volunteers who'd also felt adrift, but she told me, hearing someone say, "This soup tastes like my grandma's." That's when I remembered my worth wasn't tied to a paycheck. Volunteering does something magical. It connects you to people who care about the same things you do. And it doesn't have to be a huge commitment. Love animals? Spend an hour a week at a shelter, socializing cats. Miss teaching? Tutor a child in reading online. Even sorting donations at a thrift store can lead to coffee breaks with kindred spirits. The beauty? You're not just keeping busy, you're reminding yourself how much you still matter. Now I know some of these ideas might feel big. Maybe you're thinking, but what if I try and it doesn't work? Let me ask you this, what if it does? What if one awkward hello leads to a friendship that changes everything? The truth is, loneliness thrives in silence. So today, I challenge you to take one tiny step. Call that community center. Text your niece and ask for a Zoom lesson. Or Google volunteer opportunities near me. Because here's the thing, every connection you make is a ripple. And ripples? They grow. Stick with me, because up next, we've got 4 more surprising strategies, including one that involves absolutely leaving your house, and one that doesn't. But for now, I'd love to hear which of these ideas resonates with you. Have you tried community groups or volunteering? Share your story in the comments. You might inspire someone else to take that first step. And if you're feeling stuck, that's okay. We're all in this together. Until next time, remember, your story isn't finished yet. Let's make the next chapter unforgettable. You know, after we chatted last time, I received so many wonderful stories from folks like you. One letter stood out. A man named Harold wrote, "I never thought I'd find my people again, until I dusted off my old harmonica." Isn't that something? It reminded me that sometimes, the keys to connection are hidden in plain sight, in the things we once loved, the skills we've tucked away, or even the quiet companionship of a furry friend. Let's keep this conversation going with 3 more surprising ways to build connections that might just reignite a spark you thought was gone. Surprising way number 4. Your old hobbies are secret social superpowers. Let's talk about Harold's harmonica. For years, it sat in a drawer, a relic of his days playing in a blues band. Then, on a whim, he brought it to a local park. Now, he's the star of a weekly jam session with strangers turned friends. Here's the thing, passions don't expire. That quilt you never finished? The gardening knowledge you've accumulated? The recipes your family raves about? These aren't just hobbies, they're invitations. Take my cousin Rita. She'd always been shy, but when she started hosting a monthly soup swap, where everyone brings a pot to share and leaves with 6 different kinds, she became the heart of her neighborhood. You don't need to be an expert. Just share what lights you up. Post a flyer for a knitting circle. Offer to teach a neighbor how to can tomatoes. Or like Harold, let music be your bridge. The magic happens when you stop thinking, who'd want to hear an old harmonica? And start asking, who's out there waiting to play along? Surprising way number 5, younger generations need you more than you think, and vice versa. Now I want you to picture this. A college student named Lily posted online, looking for a grandparent figure to teach me how to bake pie. Mine lived too far away. Within days, she was in 72-year-old Evelyn's kitchen, laughing over burnt crusts and shared stories. Here's the truth. Loneliness isn't just our struggle. Young people are craving wisdom, patience, and the kind of conversations that don't happen in TikTok comments. And we get to rediscover the world through their eyes. How to start? Volunteer as a mentor at a local school. Join a skills swap app like Papa Pal, where you can teach driving lessons or bread making to 20-somethings. Or simply strike up a conversation with the barista who reminds you of your granddaughter. These connections aren't charity, they're gifts. When 81-year-old Frank started tutoring kids in math at the library, he told me, "Their energy makes me forget my aches." Plus, they showed me how to stream old westerns. It's not about being tech-savvy or cool. It's about being you, the you who's lived, learned, and still has so much to give. Surprising way number 6. A furry friend might be the best wingman you'll ever have. Now I can already hear some of you, pets? At my age? Too much work. But let me introduce you to Martha and her rescue terrier, Buddy. When Martha's husband passed, she barely left her apartment, until Buddy needed walks. Suddenly, she was meeting neighbors at the dog park, chatting with regulars at the pet store, even joining a senior dog owner's coffee club. Turns out, she said, everyone wants to talk to the lady with the dog and sunglasses. Pets do more than keep you company. They give you a reason to step outside, a built-in conversation starter, and even a shared language with strangers. Not ready for a puppy? Foster a cat through a local shelter. Offer to dog sit for a vacationing neighbor. Or visit a therapy animal program at hospitals. You'll spread joy and meet fellow animal lovers. Even feeding ducks at the pond can lead to chats with other regulars. The point is, creatures great and small have a way of bridging gaps when humans feel too intimidating. Now, I know some of these ideas might feel unconventional. Maybe you're thinking tutoring kids? Adopting a pet? That's for someone braver than me. But here's what Martha told me. The first time I took Buddy out, my hands shook holding the leash. Now, we're the social butterflies of the building. Courage isn't about fearlessness, it's about doing it scared. So pick one thing that makes your heart whisper, maybe, and give it a try. Bake those cookies and knock on a neighbor's door. Text your old fishing buddy you haven't seen in years. Or just sit on a bench with a book and a smile. You'd be amazed how many stories start with "What are you reading?" Coming up, we'll explore the final surprising strategy, one that lets you create connections without ever leaving your comfort zone. But until then, I'd love to hear, what's one hobby you'd resurrect if fear weren't in the way? Or have you already taken a leap like Harold or Martha? Share your triumphs and stumbles below. Your words might be the nudge someone needs. And remember, every great friendship, every meaningful moment, began with someone deciding to try. Why not let that someone be you? Have you ever stumbled upon an old photo or a letter and felt like you'd unearthed a treasure? Maybe it was your mother's recipe card, stained with decades of love, or a faded postcard from a friend you've lost touch with. Stories, our stories, have a way of binding us together, even when we least expect it. Today, we're wrapping up our journey with the final, and perhaps most heartfelt, way to build connections after 60. And trust me, this one might just leave you with a legacy that outlives us all. Surprising way number 7, your life story is a bridge to someone else's heart. Let me tell you about Irene, a viewer from Nebraska. After her husband passed, she felt invisible, like her memories were locked away in a vault nobody cared to open. Then her granddaughter gifted her a blank journal and said, "Tell me about the summer you turned 16. That simple request led to weekly story sessions, which led to Irene joining a memoir writing group at her library. Now, she's published 2 chapbooks of her stories and has readers across the country writing to say, "Your life helped me understand my own." Here's the thing, sharing your story isn't about being a best-selling author. It's about saying, "I was here. I mattered. And so do you." Start small. Write a letter to a grandchild about your first job. Record a voice memo describing your hometown as it once was. Or join a storytelling circle. Many senior centers and libraries host them. You'll be amazed how saying "let me tell you about the time" can turn strangers into kindred spirits. And here's the secret no one tells you, your stories don't have to be grand adventures. The ordinary moments, baking bread during a snowstorm, waiting for a train that never came, the way your father whistled while he worked, these are the threads that weave us into the human tapestry. When you share them, you're not just connecting with others. You're reminding yourself that your life is a mosaic of moments worth celebrating. Now, let's take a breath and look back at the ground we've covered. We've talked about community hubs buzzing with possibility, technology that links us across generations, volunteering that fills our cups to overflowing. We've rediscovered old hobbies as social superpowers, bridged gaps with the young and the furry, and now, stories that turn memories into lifelines. But here's what ties all these together: you. Your courage to say maybe. Your willingness to reach out, even when it feels awkward. Your understanding that connection isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. So where do you start? Pick one thing that whispers to you. Just one. Maybe it's texting an old friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Maybe it's adopting a cat who'll force you out of the house. Or maybe it's jotting down a childhood memory and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Progress over perfection, always. Loneliness thrives in the waiting for the right time, the right people, the right version of yourself. But the truth is, the right time is now. And the right people? They're out there, hoping someone like you will take the first step. Before I let you go, I have a favor to ask. Share one tiny victory in the comments. A conversation you started, a group you joined, even a moment you chose hope over hesitation. Your words could be the spark that lights someone else's way. And if you found value here, consider passing this video along to a friend who might need it. After all, connection is contagious. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more conversations like this coming your way. And remember, the world is richer with you in it. So go out there and make some ripples, my friend. I'll be cheering you on every step of the way.